Hello friends, today we are hanging out with Ashton Cantou, who is a personal coach, a speaker, and an author, among many things. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Anya. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So today we're in the basement of the Pure Bean Coffee Shop because they actually host events here, and you've actually been the host of some of the events.
Yeah, so one of the first things that I had the opportunity to do when I moved to Rapid City was host a Women's Rising Together event. So we brought a bunch of local businesses, lady entrepreneurs, and we had a nice little panel and just filled the room. So this is kind of like my home base when it comes to just events. I hosted a workshop upstairs and did another speaking event for a local church here as well.
Okay, so on that note, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this business.
I always say that I was initiated into transformational life coaching. You know, there's been some schools of hard knocks along the way, self-esteem stuff from a young age, and which we'll get into a little bit around the mission, around the book. But I just always really had a passion for helping people. I used to be in education. I was an elementary teacher, and I started leadership coaching within the education field while I was simultaneously getting my transformational life coaching certification as well. And at this time, I was doing a lot of philanthropy. I was on the board of directors for a non-for-profit called I Can Still Shine. And I was working with battered women and women in drug rehabilitation. And I was really starting to lock in, like, I think this is kind of my thing. This is really where I want to go. So I built the business for about 4 years part-time while I was still doing the in-house leadership coaching for educators. That was in North Texas. And yeah, I think now it's everything, you know. It's my firstborn, it's my first baby, you know. It's been a really special journey, but it stems from, like your question, it really was from my own pain, I think, is what was the catalyst for wanting to do the work first and do some healing and inner growth and personal growth myself, and then realizing that, hey, I'm seeing really good progress. Maybe I can help others do the same.
Sure. So kind of seeing the value in that and being able to like sort of pass it on to somebody else.
Absolutely.
So you also are a speaker. So you speak about the transformational coach aspect of things?
Yeah, I do transformational life coaching with a focus on dream building. I really like to take people, I'm dual certified. So the transformational life coaching really deals with a lot of healing, you know, old traumas in the past, but we don't like to stay there. You know, that's not the name of the game with coaching. It's really about getting focused on your longings and discontents and doing something about them, you know, having forward movement and being empowered to take radical responsibility for your life and build out the things that you desire. So part of the certification has a little bit of a dream builder aspect to it. And I love helping people start businesses and, you know, just dive into things like this, you know, simple passions that, you know, doesn't necessarily have to be their bread and butter, but allows them to have fulfillment in their life. I'm a big believer in discipline too. I think that there's a lot of talk that motivation's kind of dead. It doesn't exist, you know, that you don't need to be motivated. You just need to be disciplined. And I don't think it's one or the other. It's a yes and, because when you connect to your driving forces, you're going to be motivated. And I think what happens is a lot of people aren't process driven. We're not driven by getting up in the morning and driving to work and doing the daily things. But if we connect what we're doing to a why or to a driving force, such as being able to spend more time with your family, or, you know, if let's say it's with going to the gym, being able to feel confident in that swimsuit or feel confident in jeans. You know, if you connect it to the feeling, your driving force, then that's where the motivation comes from. And the discipline comes in the moments where you actually have to do the daily actions that aren't fun, you know? So it's kind of pairing both of them. And I just operate from the question of, if I truly loved myself, what would I do? And I believe that discipline is a true act of self-love. Well, I think something that's a common thread between whether it's doing the executive coaching with industry leaders or you know, impact-driven entrepreneurs, or if it's just helping someone through adversity, I think one of the biggest patterns that I see across the board is a lack of self-care. We have a lot of self-sacrificing going on, lacking boundaries around maybe work, certain vices, and it seems like it's very common, whether it's a very high performer that I'm working with that's a CEO, or, you know, a mom who's just got too much on her plate and she's trying to figure it all out. The common thread seems to be that we're putting ourselves last, that we're not prioritizing and making our self-care a non-negotiable, and we can't really thrive or show well in any aspect of our life if we're not taking care of ourselves spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And that's something that I really enjoy helping people get a handle on, because it just sets the foundation. It really does. And then they'll come, thinking it's one thing, but if we don't get the other thing set first, you're kind of building that house on sand.
Right.
So we want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because it is bigger than you. It's not selfish to take care of yourself. You're taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. It does impact others. Self-care, I would say, is kind of the common thread that if there's something that I can invite you to do, because this book that's where it starts, taking care of yourself. Self-care is the ultimate sign of self-love. So if I can take it one step further into the integration piece for any parent or a child watching this, is like teach them how to take care of themselves too, by modeling that.
That's a good point. Good stuff here. And now the book. Yes. So The Treasure You Are, we have it here. There's actually a book and a workbook.
Sure.
So yeah, tell us the creation of this.
So this is a little bit of a passion project for me. It's different than some of the work that I do. I typically work with adults now. I do the transformational life coaching, and then I do executive coaching for industry leaders or impact-driven entrepreneurs. But this has a big piece of my heart, because as I told you, I was an elementary teacher and I taught first grade, and this just really combines my passion for education and mental health. So what I've done with this is just created it's kind of like a beginner graphic novel. It's about self-love, and the premises of the story is about a little girl named Daisy who is stuck in comparison. And it's just one of the problems that I see so many adults facing still consistently, is especially with social media, just looking outside of themselves for validation, looking to others, and going into that comparison. And it really is the thief of joy, which is one of the core themes of this book. And I thought, well, I'm working with a lot of adults that are still struggling with this, but maybe there's a way that I can reach them before they're adults, and start to get this message to them early. So I kind of just took the personal development side of things and the elementary education side of things and smushed it all together, and we came up with The Treasure You Are. So what I've added is a lesson plan for counselors and educators. So there's an entire social emotional lesson plan, and there's suggested state standards or core state standards that they can integrate along with like theme and character development. So it could be a great read aloud for teachers as well.
Wow.
And with that, there is there are discussion prompts for parents. This is something that I've found with the feedback and the reviews that parents are really enjoying, is being able to take it beyond the book and have the kids really integrate this conversation into their actual life, and recognize things that they have value with beyond their appearance. A lot of the book kind of talks about kind of the exterior, but when you get into the work and the conversation, and we start to pull in the journal, it gets a lot deeper than that. It has them recognize how they've been a good friend and what they're grateful for. And with the self-love journal, there's affirmations, journal prompts, and coloring pages. And
nice.
it goes into questions like, write about a time that you felt proud of yourself. How did it make you feel? So we're really building that sense of self-worth and positive self-esteem from an early age. It's probably most appropriate for your 8 to 12-year-old. It just means a lot to see little girls have the ability to look at themselves with true, compassion, because I see so many adults that are so hard. And as I started to notice it in my students, there's like this inner critic that even at the age of 6 or 7 kids have. And if we can start to combat that with positive self-talk and a deeper sense of deserving early on, maybe there'll be a little more self-love. And then, if you love yourself, you can love others well too.
Absolutely. I'm totally picking up all that. Because I feel like, especially, maybe not, but I feel like as girls, we are especially hard on ourselves, because we are comparing ourselves to other women constantly. I mean, even as adults, we do it. Or because we see something on a magazine. Oh, well, I don't look like that. That must be, I'm not good enough.
Right.
Or, so and it's that reel that keeps playing.
Exactly.
And you're so right on that, I feel like.
Yeah, and it goes directly into that. I mean, she literally is comparing herself to other girls in school. And by the end of it, where, she's feeling really down about herself, by the end, you do see that character transformation where she realizes that she can see her intrinsic worth and her own value while still celebrating others. And it's not a one or the other, it's a yes and. They're beautiful and I can celebrate their beauty, and they're kind and they have gifts and I can celebrate those things, but I need to also recognize my own.
Sure, it doesn't take away from yours.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
These are the tools I wish I would have had.
Yes.
And that I didn't even start to learn until I was in my early 20s, mid 20s about, you know, the negative self-talk, the comparison, and it takes a lot of work to kind of rework that stuff and rewire it. So if I had maybe learned it when I was younger, maybe I wouldn't have beat myself up so much or been so hard on myself, or you know, had the body image issues or self-esteem issues at certain points in my journey. So
Okay, so if folks want more information about your business, what you do, or the book, where can they go?
you can go to my website, so Ashton Cantou, A-S-H-T-O-N, Cantou, C-A-N-T-O-U.com. It's all there. The book link is there. These are purchasable on Amazon. Right now I have a discount going, like probably I think 60-something% off of the journal. And you don't have to get the book with it. It's just marked down for you. And then you can grab both of these on Amazon. This is, I think, $7.99. It's under $10.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks so much just for your outreach in general, and thanks for hanging out with us today.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
You bet.